I said, I am not going to pretend to be a prophet. I just know what I know, and I hard to follow my conscience and follow what I know. And that eclipse just was, to me, it was clear as day that things are going to start happening to get our attention, to turn to God. And it's very, very patient with us. We look around. I look around at a godless nation, generally speaking. There are so many exceptions to that. I'm not saying they're all like that. But Jason was listening to me talk about that, and he wanted to chime in, but he didn't want to disrupt the and
the tone
the
mostly.
tone.
Well, just all the stories about how the eclipse was racist because it was
Right.
only going through the parts where only white people are,
Right.
with a small percentage of minorities.
Yep.
I just
So,
the whole.
I'm a racist for saying that.
You must, yeah, you must be a racist.
I
Only
must be. Because
only white people enjoyed the eclipse.
Yeah.
It was, because Mother Nature is racist.
That's right.
It must be, because if the eclipse is only gonna.
No. Mother Nature's not racist.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. She's bringing her wrath against us for voting for Trump.
Yes. In fact, do you have that clip ready?
I do have that clip.
Since we're talking about what's causing all this, let's go hear from the experts in Hollywood. Jennifer Lawrence, the star of the Hunger Games. Now, the Hunger Games series, I can't stand it when these actors go off the deep end and start becoming. But Jennifer Lawrence was interviewed. I'll just let her speak for herself. She doesn't really come out and say that Mother Nature is angry at us for electing Trump. She pretty much gets there. So let's hear her talk about it. Mother Nature's rage and wrath because our voice was heard through our votes and we voted for Trump. Jennifer Lawrence, she's telling you and me, she's an expert because it's clear that global warming is man-made. Oh, I'm overwhelmed with her expertise. We've got actually another audio clip I'll share with you in a minute. Jason's actually inundated with the phones right now, so we'll get that in a minute. The rush to turn this into a power grab by the left is just absolutely infuriating. Here, you and me, you and I, intensity, hoping people are okay. We're praying. The people in the hurricane are praying. The people in the wildfires are praying. And say that that's because they voted for Trump. Say that to their face. Really? I can't get rid of their narratives soon enough. Notice I say their narratives. They would say get rid of me, but it's just a difference between right and left. But anyway, so we've got Tim on the line. Finally, is he on? Take care of that. We've got a new connection we're working on here, so bear with me if we don't get it right the first time. Tim is in Florida, and he's connecting with us via an app that he wanted us to use in case the phone lines were down. That's what we're using for this connection. Tim, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Thanks for calling. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for the invite.
All right, Tim, I'm going to tell the audience that you're a former Marine.
Yes, I am.
And I told them a little bit about how you had put your SUV in front of your 2-car garage and you put your car off to the side, how you shared all these pictures and were explaining how this is fascinating, how you prepared for this. I didn't tell my audience, you've been posting videos every hour just kind of the progression of the storm. Where exactly are you, and where's the storm in relationship to you right now?
Oh,
Do you know?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I'm looking at a website called windy.com, and they just recently added a new layering effect to it, whereby previously the predictions were showing the west coast for the storm. Now the radar itself is showing it pretty much coming straight toward me, right up the state, except it's breaking up. So that's very interesting. I'm just below Kissimmee in Point Siena, and the only bad news is it's that northeast quadrant that's probably going to hit me before it peters out.
Okay, I'm looking for Kissimmee on the map here. Okay, so you're a little bit south of Orlando. So you're almost smack dab in the middle of Florida, a little off to the east.
Yeah,
and you're
just a little
saying that are you saying it's actually up the west coast? It's kind of starting to go.
It's almost shooting straight up the state, according to the radar map I'm looking at.
And that means that you're in trouble in the next hour. Is that what you said?
That's what I said. However, it looks like it's also dropped to Category 1. So the big question is, if it's not wind that's really going to hit me hard, there's an awful lot of water that's missing in other parts of the state of Florida that could get dropped on me. So we'll see what happens. I think I might possibly dodge the bullet, but boy, talk about playing with fate.
Impressed that you stayed. It looks like you're more than willing to be prepared. Being a former Marine, like, who cares? You've done this before and worse, right?
Yeah, and there's no such thing as a former Marine. You're always
I
a Marine.
did see you say that. My mistake. And I should have known that just in my gut, right? Sorry about that. You're a Marine,
okay.
man.
That's right.
You're
always.
a Marine. Yes, your epitaph will be Marine.
That's right.
Because I think we talked about this on Facebook. The water disappearing. Have you seen this before? Water is pulling out of the Tampa Bay.
Yep.
It's pulling away from the Bahamas. It's like, I first saw it, I thought, well, did it get sucked up into the hurricane? And if it did, then hurricane.
Right. It's just a combination of so many different factors, the wind speed and the temperature of the water and the air pressure and the humidity index, and it just all gets sucked up. With a storm like this, both the leading edge and the trailing edge have been sucking up the water. So it's like a huge vacuum, and that just kept building and building with that low pressure zone. But now there was a CNN video I just saw recently that said the pressure is going up a lot right in the center now, and that's what's helping it break apart. So even though you've got these
breaking
bands,
apart a good thing?
Oh, yes. I mean, it's going to drop a lot of water, but it's better those winds start to drop by that core breaking up.
Still not good for you because you're going to...
No. A little too. And I
Okay,
really
well,
hear it
okay.
outside the window now, too. So it's quite a storm going on at this point. But if it was Cat 2 or Cat 3 or Cat 4, I would have been in much more trouble by now. So I've been lucky in that respect. I'm counting my blessings.
I am so glad to hear that.
Thank you.
We've got a couple more minutes. Can you stay over the break and come back for the next segment?
I'd love to.
We don't have to leave just yet. I wanted to make sure before I started opening up conversation. I want to know what you've seen in what are your observations as you've prepared for this? I know you were one of the first persons I saw who posted about gasoline being unavailable a couple days ago. Tell me your thoughts about that. Tell me what you've seen. What's your experience been with this? And obviously this is not a big deal for you, but the rest of us who've never been through a hurricane have no idea.
I think the biggest thing that occurred, I've been in about 8 of these storms in my life, from my time in the Marine Corps out in Okinawa for the typhoons that were out there, and other storms that have been, either on the East Coast or Florida. I was here during Charlie and all that. So I think what happens, and what happened with a lot of Floridians until our governor came on and really laid it out for everyone, there's kind of an innate complacency. Some people will get very worried immediately. Like Tuesday was the day that I saw the gas lines really start getting crazy, and Wednesday and Thursday there were gas outages. But when the governor to the state came on and just laid it out so emphatically, and he was fantastic, stating that, you can replace all your stuff. Your stuff is nothing. You can't replace family, whether it's 2-footed or 4-footed. You cannot replace that. You got to get out. This is a bad storm. I think the one thing the news did that was showing the respective size difference between Andrew and this one, because anyone who survived Andrew would be probably the most complacent. But when they saw that, there's been a huge exodus. And I think that was good. That was phenomenal. So that's what I saw. I saw, for once, government officials actually coming forward and saying, guys, we don't care what happens. We're going to put your lives first in importance to get you out of state in any way that we can help.
It's cool.
Yep.
I am so glad to hear that. The governor was impressive to me, but I'm not there.
Right.
I'm not there, and I'm not the one being motivated by what he's saying. But he seems to have taken ownership of this early and responsibly and very seriously, and he's not messing around.
Indeed.
Okay, that music means we're going to take a break. We will come back with Tim. Tim is in Kissimmee, Florida, and the storm is about to pummel him in about an hour. So we're going to hear more about how he prepared. We're going to hear more from Tim about what he's seen in Florida. We're also going to talk to Anil Mathai from the Colorado Adams County GOP about Prop 108 when we come back here on AM 740 KVOR.
I'm Richard Randall. During the summer, I travel a lot for sports with my teen athletes. Through the years, the sports have varied, but what hasn't changed is the cost of gas, meals, hotels, equipment, and the things we forget to bring. I wish I'd known about the new Security Service Federal Credit Union Power Cashback Credit Card. Not only would I earn 1.5% cash back on cargo shorts, folding chairs,
far, no other information has become available. KVOR weather from First Alert 5. We'll see temps down to the 60s overnight with mostly cloudy skies. We'll see clouds again on Monday, a high of 82 with a chance for showers. I'm Ryan Pelton. Stay connected with KVOR News on the hour, on the half end when it breaks on AM 740 and KVOR.com.
These are the things big media won't tell you with Michelle Marin on AM 740 KVOR.
And tonight's show is chock full of what big media will not tell you, and we are getting through it all. Interestingly enough, we've been talking about IRMA. We've talked a little bit about Harvey. We've talked about the wildfires in Montana. We've talked about the fat commie across the ocean who wants to gift us with more destruction and real bombs in the near future, and Iran. And there is a topic I refuse to not cover.
Is a topic that was brought up to me, and I didn't realize until it was brought up to me, because we've only heard about hurricanes, we've only heard about fires, we've heard about everything else except for this one thing. Is 9/11.
And from my list, Jason can vouch. We had a caller.
You showed that to me right after that
Yes.
caller, and I
Yes.
could not believe that because I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. In all of my prep this weekend, I kept remembering, golly, Monday is 9/11. How can that be overshadowed with all this? That makes me kind of mad. 9/11 cannot be forgotten, and it will be for a lot of people. It
Never
just will
forget,
be.
except for Irma or
Yeah.
whatever. Pick your poison.
But we had a caller. Disappointed that
Yeah, he
I'm not
wanted to
talking about
mention that.
9/11.
Yeah, no one else was mentioning it, and he was kind of saddened that no one was saying anything about it. It's all focused on Irma or Harvey or Montana fires, which are important.
Yeah,
But this is also important as well.
it is. So whoever you are, I hope that I've redeemed myself here. I was not going to forget 9/11. That in and of itself for a whole 2 hours. And it's worth remembering what happened that day. But sadly, is still alive and well. And the threat still lurks and will happen. As a nation, never get struck like that again. We have a president who wants to show the willingness and the stones to stand up to these evil people. Never forget 9/11. None of us will forget it, that memory. We all know where we were that day, what happened, where we were, what we saw. And natural disasters are bad enough. Me, it's only wanting to take us over, force us into submission, and destroy everything that we love and value and cherish. And I won't, and I'll be talking about it. I'm not going to be on the air tomorrow, but I will be talking about it on social media, and I might bring it up next week as well. But yes, it's 9/11. All these bad things happening on that anniversary is a little chilling, just to be truthful. But Tim from Florida is on the line. Let's get back to him. So Tim, you are in Kissimmee. Or a Marine. Tell me what you've seen. You mentioned you saw folks are taking care or being urged to take care of not only themselves and their families but their pets. Are you seeing that happen?
Yes, I've got a lot of Facebook friends who obviously are attracted to the fact that I'm a pet lover. It's pretty obvious if you look at my personal page. And everyone I've seen out there that is of that caliber is taking care of their pet. Now, I had a, if I may, I had a interesting conversation with one of them. And caring for animals as family is a nurturing in education. You learn that through nurturing, that compassion. It's not something that's just, nature versus nurture. And some people have an ideology that maybe comes from farm animals. A cat is, say for instance, a cat. It's a great mouser, but that doesn't mean they're going to be taking it to the vet all the time or things like that. So there's different levels of nurturing and compassion that's learned by humanity. And unfortunately, when it comes to the cats and dogs, a lot of times it's as I've learned to not like the word pet because it's become synonymous with the word toy. You don't throw away family, but you do throw away toys.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you put an emphasis on that. So you saw that the fuel ran out Tuesday.
Right.
When did water start running out? Did that run out?
That I didn't notice because I was well prepared with water myself. Though I can imagine that probably ran out just as quickly as the gas. Yep.
Okay. Interesting. Since you're there, I thought I might bring up. I was gonna, and I may have to talk about this on my After Hours podcast. Rush Limbaugh about a week ago did a whole couple of segments on the coming hurricane. Maybe it wasn't a couple weeks ago. It's the 5th. Seems like a long. In a nutshell, what Rush said was, he lives in Florida, and he did evacuate, but he didn't evacuate, on the 5th. On the 5th, he was trying to explain his reservation about the hype concerning IRMA, because IRMA was out in the ocean, and he has seen too much hype in the past. He's seen the storms, start big, and media hypes it all up, and everybody panics, and all the water gets bought out, and all the fuel gets bought out. And he was basically saying there's kind of a, something going on here where the panic is overworked, is run out. And he was leery because he feels like the climate change is being used to push all this hype and scare people. You're kind of a neighbor to Rush, and Left hammered him. Oh, Rush was calling this all a bunch of hype. No, he wasn't. He was giving his experience and his reservations. He wasn't doing what the left said. But I'm just curious what your thoughts are about all of that. Is the hype overdone, like Rush said, or do you?
Well, I think media itself, hype is money when it comes to media. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, hype is money.
High five.
Yeah, exactly. High five, right there. But if they were hoping to generate additional revenues or things like that, water buyouts, all this, I think that's not the case because we've had to dip into national reserves for fuel and just shipping it, down to Florida for people to get out. And the damage that's done in this type of a scenario, perhaps because of hype, is not going to balance the books in the favor of having sold all that product because of this type of a scenario. Did I say that right? Did you understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
I was curious your thoughts on that. Anything else? Any other observations that you want to share with the listeners here in Colorado and elsewhere across the nation?
Mostly, I saw people truly coming together. That's not hype. I saw people coming together, neighbors that I may never have talked to because they just moved in, walking down the street and saying, hey, if you need help, we're right across the street. Come and get us. And, and everyone voices that back and forth to each other. And that's nice because it shows that there is a human camaraderie, at least within limits, no matter how bad things get, to help each other out.
What can we do to help you all in Florida as this continues? And obviously, you need prayer. Safe, and you're. Can we do from here as the days unfold?
Well, depending on whatever disaster is unfolded from the dissolution of the storm as it goes away, is anything with the Red Cross or agencies like that don't, beware of the third party or even Facebook donation page. Just go directly to the ones that cut out the middleman, Red Cross, first aid, whatever it may take to get supplies or any type of financial or medical help. Now, one thing about Americans is they're very generous. We're one of the most generous nations in the world, so I've read. And they do come together in situations like it, such as you were saying earlier, 9/11. It will never be forgotten. And yet time does dissolve the the forefront presence of any historical event. So we don't want to forget these things soon. We don't want to forget history. We don't want to change history. We don't want to erase history because it's all relevant to where we move in the future.
Well, Tim, we're going to have to go to a break, and I am so glad you called in and were patient and waited to the second hour of my show. I'm going to ask you a favor. If you wouldn't mind, if you know of any of those local organizations to whom we can donate that are going to get to Floridians, would you mind sharing those on my Facebook page, and then I will reshare it on my public page?
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Appreciate that. And I know my listeners, like you said, we've got generous listeners, and we want to help, and we do want to bypass we want our money to go as efficiently, you be used as efficiently, and maximize people in your area.
Fantastic.
Thanks
for
Tim.
inviting
Thanks
me on the
so
show.
much for joining us. Stay safe. We're going to pray for your safety, and keep me posted on Facebook on how things go tonight.
Will do. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Thanks, Tim. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Tim from Florida. We are going to come back and wrap up the live show. We're going to talk to Anil Mathai from Adams County, Colorado, and a few other things to wrap up, and we'll be back here on the Michelle Marin Show.
And we're done, boys and girls. Ta-ta-ta. How'd that go? So I have homework.